Good morning and welcome everybody. Dobar dan in dobrodošli. It's a really great pleasure to welcome you in the Urban Center of Trieste. V Urban Centru, ki so ga svečano odprli marca letos, sta doma znanost in inovacija v Biotech in digital tech sektorju. Stavba je namenjena tako občanom kot podjetnikom in znanstvenikom, ki si bodo lahko tu izmenjali ideje in ustvarjali nove inovativne projekte. Upravitelj centra je naveža 4 velikih družb, in sicer Bioford Dream, Tržavski Bioval Investments in R&B Gate, ter tehnološko središče severnega Jadrana Andrea Galvani. The Urban Center is positioned as an international hub with well-defined keywords: innovation, development of entrepreneurial activities, and cross-functional contamination of the territory. Contamination of the ideas is the main goal of Urban Center, which is dedicated to the interaction between citizens, young students, companies, research centers, universities, as well as all the actors who are ready to support innovation, such as business angels, venture capital, banks, and insurances. The Urban Center is also the house of the startups. They will benefit from the best services that the 4 companies I've mentioned will offer to them. But a very important point is also the international collaboration between partners. In this connection, let me introduce you and thank our partner, Biotechnology Park Ljubljana. And I would like now to give word to Urška Rauter-Gaber, who will give us an overview of the best practices in health and biotech collaboration between Italy and Slovenia, and also the new cooperation opportunities.
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you for having me and thank you for giving such a nice Slovenian introduction. I wasn't aware. I have my presentation in English, so and I speak very little Italian, but I definitely love your coffee and love visiting Trieste whenever I can. And when I went back after a year and a half, just a month ago, it was like Disneyland to me. So I prepared a very brief, no, not very brief, but a brief introduction. I will start sharing my screen now. Just 1 second. Oh, I have a disabled participant screen sharing. So please make me host again and I'll start sharing my screen. But in other ways, I can just start by telling you a bit how this my today's presentation will go.
Okay.
So the first thing that I will focus on is giving a brief overview of what is the biotech sector in Slovenia and what is the healthcare sector in Slovenia, and thank you. And most importantly, how they intersect. I will also highlight some of the best practices and some of the projects that our technology park has collaborated on with Italian partners. So I am sharing my screen now. It's a very quick introduction as mentioned. So first, I would just like to go maybe into biotechnology. Here I am specifically referring to the red biotechnology, so biomedicine and biochemistry in a more global perspective. If we see that the robust biologics pipeline coupled with high growth rate is transforming biopharma and as such, so the so-called red biotechnology. It is important to note that the trend toward the personalized or precision medicine is driving the convergence of technology platforms that enable swift transition of innovation into standard care. But making this convergence a reality is only possible if we develop and start working on the in an open innovation type of collaboration, and that is why we need the ecosystems such as Technology Park Ljubljana or BioValley Investments to foster this kind of collaborations. So as a strategic imperative, slowly progress toward end-to-end solutions, need for better data integration across value chain for error-free biopharma manufacturing is critical. And of course, the breakthrough digital technologies are the key enabler of the advances in bioinformatics, or the so-called omics that I'm sure you are aware of, and they are the key enablers of the personalized medicine. The chart that you see on your left, I think, is a chart from 2018, but mostly it hasn't changed to this day. So I wanted to show that the specialty medicine spending and growth in developed markets is mostly focused on oncology and autoimmune diseases, as well as blood coagulations. And all of these three areas are really interconnected when it comes to the bioinformatics, biotechnology, and of course, healthcare. So moving on, just swiftly into the biotechnology sector in Slovenia. Here I have some of let's say infos and quick sound bites on how biotechnology sector is in Slovenia. This is based on our own market research. So the health sector is, of course, one of the smart specialization, is one of the areas in the smart specialization strategies in Slovenia. And in this smart specialization strategy, there is a subset of 6 strategic areas, which I won't go in very deeply, but I would mention the following 3. So the biopharmaceutical subset strategy area, the resistant bacteria subset strategy area, and cancer treatment. So far, we have counted 30 active biotech companies in Slovenia, but in this count, we have excluded early stage startups and some of the companies that are based at the university, because they do not have the official status of a company. So I would, in my personal experience, I would say that the number is closer to 50, but just looking by their activeness and revenue and so on, I would say that we estimated there are 30 active biotech companies in Slovenia. What is really interesting in these companies is that the high percentage of their revenue, not just profit, but the whole revenue, is actually spilled back into R&D. I am sorry for the background noise if you're hearing some. These companies are mostly exporting to larger pharmaceutical markets in Europe, and some also to the US, just because their their buying potential is so much bigger than here in Slovenia, but most of the R&D is made in Slovenia in connection with research institutes and the universities, as well as neighboring countries such as Italy. Most maybe to say that one of the most beneficial collaborations that have been done is with the International Center for Genomics and Biotechnology in Trieste, and between Slovenian companies. There is a great weakness here when it comes to biotechnology sector, especially because it's so fragmented. The research and development landscape is really fragmented, and there is really no efficient technology transfer process. There is no national one-stop shop for technology transfer process. Each institute and university has their own, but that of course comes with some limitations. Again, on the left, there are some of, I think, most successful biotech companies, and some that are the emerging companies. So I will just briefly go through each of them. If you look up left, it's ACS Bio. They're actually one of the biggest biotech companies here in Slovenia, and they are stationed at Technology Park Ljubljana. They are mostly focusing on microbial biotechnology and bioreactors. okay, let's say ACS Bio is the second biggest. The biggest one is definitely BS Operations, which is stationed in Ajdovština, which I'm sure you are aware where it is. It is also a company that sold this year to the Sartorius Corporation for almost 400 million euros. So it was a really successful venture, and they are one key partner in creating the Zolgensma cure for the muscular dystrophy, I think. Then we also have Labina. Labina is actually a family-run company. It was voted the most successful family-run company this year in Slovenia, and they are really working a lot in genomics, in digital droplet PCR, but also in classical analytical chemistry, and they are also a distributor of laboratory equipment for major brands. They are based here in Slovenia, but have also offices in the Balkans, mostly so in Serbia, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and so on. And of course, we also have Gene Planet, or they like to call themselves Gene Planet in Slovenian. They're also one of the oldest companies, but they specialized in genomics, in your DNA profiles, similar to 23andMe and Ancestry, as you know, from America. And then there are two that are really emerging. The first one is Jafral. Jafral is actually a spin-out from the Faculty of Chemistry and Chemical Technology here at the University of Ljubljana, and they focus on bacteriophages and are really interested in academic research and collaboration. And the second one is Farsol. Farsol is, let's say, a disruptive in this market because they are offering laboratory equipment and bioreactors at much lower prices than you are used to from, let's say, standard distributors and the bigger brands. But they also have a so-called cryo holder, which is a very innovative solution, which is it's a holder, it's a pan which you use to safely extract cryovials from, the deep frozen incubator, and it prevents a lot of damage to the person. It prevents injuries to the person that has to deal with it every day. So maybe very quickly to go through the research environment, who are the key stakeholders? We do have 4 universities. The oldest one is in Ljubljana, the second oldest is in Maribor, and then we have the university in Primorska, which I'm also sure you're aware of, and in Nova Gorica. We have some research institutes. These are not the ones, all listed, but let's just say the most relevant one for healthcare and biotechnology sector. So we have the Josef Stefan Institute, the National Institute of Chemistry, the National Institute of Biology, and the National Laboratory of Health, Environment, and Food. There is this Center of Excellence for Biosensors, Instrumentation, and Process Control, also stationed in Ajdovština. Here I listed some of the technology parks and science hubs that are relevant for these two fields. Of course, here the technology park in Ljubljana, the University Incubator, the Ljubljana University Incubator, the Slovenian Innovation Hub, and the University Incubator at Primorska, although they do not specialize so much in health, but they are really close to Italy. That's why it's worth mentioning them, and most of their members are, mentors and staff are bilingual. I would also mention some of the communities that are active in this field. So we have the healthday.si. I will present this community today. There's also Slovenian Chamber of Commerce is really active in healthcare and healthcare technologies. AmCham is also quite active in healthcare, and they have begun also being active in the biotechnology, and the EIT Health Hub here in Slovenia, which is run by the Ljubljana University Incubator. Moving on into healthcare, here are again some sound bites of what healthcare looks like in Slovenia. So we spent approximately 4 billion euros a year for our healthcare expenditure, which corresponds to 8.5% of our GDP. Here on the left is a chart to see that 40% of this 4 billion is spent by hospitals, and then additional 20% by providers of ambulatory care, and 20% for buying the medical goods, and the rest is just really, really small in comparison to the three I mentioned. We have a 27.2% share of private sources in healthcare funding. And there is a really big push to shift from the current, let's say, paradigm of how healthcare services are paid for into the value-based healthcare paradigm. But this is really we are really at the beginning when it comes to that, so that we pay for the outcomes, not just for the service itself. When it comes to digitization, Slovenia is always ranked among top 10 EU countries in healthcare digitization. We are quite good in that, and we usually forget to commend ourselves in that. We have the e-referrals, we have the e-prescription, we have the central backbone with for each of the citizen or for their healthcare information. And of course, with the COVID pandemic, now the much more of us have this access to our digital health record, just because we need to have it to show our proof of being vaccinated. But this also, of course, made a surge of people using digitalized services. We have 26 hospitals, 2 of which are university clinic. We have about 6,500 doctors, and we have more than 1,000 private providers, so private clinics, which are mainly dermatology clinics, orthopedic clinics, and gynecology clinics. We have 63 primary care sectors, 2 medical faculties, 1 in Ljubljana and 1 in Maribor, and 3 faculties of health sciences. So this is for other healthcare, this is for all healthcare professionals that are not doctors. And here at the medical faculties, we also have the dentistry department. The key stakeholders of healthcare in Slovenia are Ministry of Health, of course, the National Institute of Public Health, the National Health Insurance Fund, and the Agency for Medicinal Products and Medical Devices. We are, the healthcare in Slovenia is, of course, publicly funded. But we do have this system of additional payments, so each of the citizen, I don't know how to frame it correctly in English, but basically everyone who is above 18 or 26 after they finish their study needs to be paying about 20 euros per month for additional healthcare services that are not covered in the general at the general level of healthcare insurance. This is a very hot topic right now here in Slovenia. We've been trying to reform this for, let's say, 7-10 years, but there's not a difference, not even at this point, and governments have failed and fallen because of this reform. Moving on to companies. So if I said that the biotechnology sector in Slovenia is growing and emerging, the healthcare sector is actually quite stable and consolidated market. We have some big IT providers, so healthcare IT providers. So we have Src-Infonet, which also there you see their logo on the left. So the Src-Infonet is actually the biggest IT provider here in Slovenia, and the second one is Better. Better is of course positioned in Slovenia and also present in Slovenian market, but they are also very much present in the other EU EU countries such as Spain. They're quite big in England. Just recently, they were picked by NHS Wales, and they also have a quite big presence in Moscow. The medtech company, the medtech sector is represented by big players, so like Siemens Healthineers and Medtronic, but we also have some, I dare to say, unicorns. The one that will become a unicorn is definitely Macy. They are simplifying diagnostics, and they are present in I think 90 markets at this point on all continents, but mostly in Europe. They are a medical device company, and their medical devices are manufactured in Slovenia. So they are actually a great contributor to our country. Of course, we have two major pharmaceutical providers here in Slovenia. We have Novartis and we have Krka. Krka was Slovenian made and has always been Slovenian. Novartis is a Swiss company, but they bought the Lake Lake company, which was also established here in Slovenia, but that happened almost 20, dare I say, 30 years ago. So we call them Novartis now, but they have a really big pharmaceutical industry in Domžale, Slovenia. This is about 20 to 30 kilometers out of Ljubljana, where they have the factory and an R&D department for biosimilars. One field that is emerging is definitely telemedicine. Of course, this is happening all throughout the world, especially through smaller companies and startups, but the biggest national provider of telecommunications is also very much interested in telemedicine. This is Telekom Slovenia, and they have put out to the market several solutions for telemedicine and monitoring at home. Having said that, like here at Technology Park, we run a registry of about 70 active solutions and companies on just on healthcare. But there are several barriers on our healthcare market, and the first one is a high turnover at Ministry of Health. So the minister in charge is rapidly changing, and it's really hard to get a concise and comprehensive top-down approach and a strategy that I think would be really beneficial to us all. There is, of course, insufficient innovation funding, but not to say that there isn't any funding available. It's just that the funding that is available is usually much too low for healthcare innovations that are not just apps, like creating a medical device that needs to be certified, that follows certain regulations, is really expensive, and we don't have any kind of mechanisms that would provide them the needed financial support. And there is no National Health Technology Assessment Agency, which is also a barrier, because that means that each innovator or entrepreneur is left to their own devices how to maneuver and go through this complicated healthcare system, and they usually give up, to be completely honest with you. And as I've mentioned at the beginning, we need to speak about the intersection of health and biotechnology. So if we are to actually achieve the potential of personalized medicine, we need the convergence of healthcare, biotechnology, and IT. And I'm proud to say that in Slovenia, we have some pioneers from this field. And I would first mention the company Genialis. They have successfully sold the company, which started here in Ljubljana as a spin-out company from the University of Ljubljana. The company has been successfully sold to America, and they are working on a lot of algorithms on identifying biomarkers in silico. Another company, which is also a spin-out from the National Institute of Biology, is Biosystemica. and they are very active in this IT software sector, specifically for laboratories and research groups. And one, again, founded at the University of Ljubljana, but at the Faculty of Electronics, no, I forget. So at the University of Ljubljana, it's Quantim. They're quantitative imaging biomarkers, and they are specializing in multiple sclerosis. So how to, through AI, how to scan and analyze the MRI scans of people that are in that are a potential MS patient, because diagnosing MS is still quite difficult, and it takes a very skilled technician and a doctor and a radiologist to detect and diagnose the disease. So how do we bring these three fields together? And our answer at this point here at Technology Park Ljubljana is our community, Helday.si. Helday.si was founded in 2014 by some of the companies I already mentioned, so by Messi and Better and X-Lab, and by Technology Park. So we see ourselves as a community of health and care stakeholders working from Slovenia, working towards an innovation-friendly ecosystem. We've been registered as a digital innovation hub by the European Commission since 2019, and we say that we have more than 1,000 members, but this is mainly speaking that these are the number of individuals that are subscribed to our newsletters and respond to, let's say, engage with us on a monthly or sometimes even daily rate. But what our main goal is actually to connect stakeholders, which means that we connect business, healthcare professionals, policymakers, and patients. It is really important to say that there is no neutral platform apart from Helday at this moment, where all of these stakeholders can meet and network and discuss similar challenges, healthcare challenges that are in the system. Our main activities revolve around events, but we are trying to become recognized as experts in the field as well. So we are really working towards establishing ourselves as the key opinion leaders in this healthcare field. These are our goals for the next 3 years. As I've mentioned, we are really working toward the value-based healthcare to have at least some solutions in our healthcare system. And we would really like to have a showroom, an institute for innovation, such as this urban center that we have today. So we are already working on an initiative to create a demo hospital, or let's say a living lab of some sorts, through other initiatives as well, to have this actually be open by 2023. One of our really main points of what we do is actually support businesses. This year we have been lucky enough to have been granted some funds from the Slovenian Entrepreneurship Fund to run an accelerator program specifically for healthcare companies for 6 months, and we hope to continue this in the following year, but have the program be expanded for a whole year. But even before that, we have started by choosing 5 emerging or innovative companies per year, and by giving them support. So here on the left are our generation for this year. So we have Juliet Rose, which is a virtual platform for people with autoimmune diseases. We have Need Care. They're really specialized in telemedicine. We have NurseTech. They are a company that is working on simulations. So VR simulations that could help with therapy for people that are invalids in some way or another. Then we have Quiba. Quiba is actually a project within a more established company called Linis Farmaceutica. They are a small pharmaceutical company from Slovenia. But Quiba is an app that doctors can download and have up-to-date recommendations on how to use antimicrobials. You are well aware that bacterial resistance is one of the top health challenges that the whole world is facing, to be honest. And then we have the news, which they are an eye tracking neurodiagnostics company, and they specialize in early cognition decline detection. So they use an eye tracker, and with their specific algorithms, the company is run by 2 AI experts. They can detect early cognition decline. And one of the main points for today is to present you our upcoming conference next week, which will deal exactly with the topic that we discussed today. So the intersection of biotechnology, IT, and healthcare. And if possible, I will try to go online and show you this year's agenda, which we are really proud of, because we were able to attract quite a few high-level speakers. If you can, there is just go healthday.si and you will be transferred directly to our site where you can see the event agenda. We are really happy to have a Google Accelerator this year with us. This year, Google actually initiated a call specifically for health companies. And one of our companies, which I've mentioned before, Macy, is one of the participants. So they will be presenting their experience with the Google Accelerator. And then we have the plenary session, Biotech Across the World, which I'm most proud of. So we have Catherine Littler from the WHO. We have, I don't know how to exactly pronounce, we have Dr. Ton from Genentech. We are really happy to have him. And we have Ana Catarina Gomes from Portugal, which she will be presenting her company, CBR Genomics. And we will also present the regional and global champions in biotech and digital that are from Slovenia. So Bioseparations, Labina, both mentioned before. We have a really new spin-out, Niba Labs. We will have the Smart Gene Initiative, which is the first gene therapy clinical trial in Slovenia, which has just been initiated here. We have Synode, this is a spin-out from the Biosystemica, and we will have something from Lake or Novartis, as I've mentioned before. We will also try to tackle what it takes to have an innovative financing and tax environment, because as I've said, these kind of innovations need millions of dollars, not just thousands of euros, which are available. And of course, one of our focuses and goals within the community is always to give word also to patients. So we will have patient representatives at the conference, and we will give them an opportunity to express why it's really important to fund this kind of innovations and research development. And finally, we will have a roundtable of CEOs from different from a digital world and the biotech world, and we will speak about how these two fields intersect. This is what it is from my side. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention some of the best practices that Technology Park has been a part of. I would like to show you three really important projects that I personally worked on and were really important to us for kickstarting the whole biotech community here in Slovenia. So first one, we have the project Train, and this is where we met. Oh, sorry, my bad. And this is where we met the International Center for Genomics and Biotechnology from Trieste. This was really important for us. Then we had the Arte project, which was specifically focused on stem cells. And here BioValley was also a partner of the project, also, as well as in Train. And then there are two that we haven't been directly involved in, but were really important for this field that we are speaking about. And the first one was glioblastoma. So, and this is a project that I know people will continue to work on. This was again Slovenian-Italian collaboration. And last but certainly not least is one of the most successful Interact projects, I would wager to say, in the last 10 years was the BioApp project. This is not the medical. This is not a medical biotechnology. They are more on the environmental biotechnology. But the team that has been, let's say, the partnership and the team that has been developed within this project is definitely a benchmark for all Interact projects moving forward. And I've been in awe of their approach and success ever since I was able to meet them. So definitely check them out, as well as the other companies and research institutes I've mentioned. And I can securely, confidently say that if you would like an introduction to any of the ones that I mentioned today, just, contact Technology Park Ljubljana, contact the Helde.si community, and we will definitely be very happy to put you in touch with anyone. So I will stop sharing, and this was it from my side.
So thank you, Urška. Thank you again, and it was a pleasure having you as a speaker here. And thank you for your interesting overview of what is going on in Slovenia. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.